We just live right now, man. It's going down, excited for the season. You know, we coming off a playoff win. I mean, you know, we had a couple wins.
At least pride-wise, made me feel good because you don't ever want to get swept.
And I've never done this. I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
If you ask me, can the Bucks win Game 5? I put it at
100%
confidence. Yes.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
At this point, you don't know what's going to happen. You can get Game 6. You can steal it.
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Winning Game 6 and 7?
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
I don't think they're going to win the whole series, but...
I wouldn't wish this on anyone.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 236 of Dear Diaries, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast brought to you by us here at the staff at Brew Hoop. I'm one of your normal co-hosts, Jackson Gross, and we're back at it again once with the Double Jack podcast this go around. It's been a minute, it's been a while, but I'm here once again with my guy Jack Traherne. Jack, how are you doing?
It's just so good to be back on, Jackson. Yeah, doing well. Had a restarted my old job at a new university / the same university because like the two Adelaide universities just merged together.
Oh,
so basically I was explaining this to Van. It's a hilarious rebrand where the University of South Australia merged with the University of Adelaide to create Adelaide University.
Oh, I thought they were going to go like
the same name, basically.
I thought they were going to go like the University of like South Adelaide. That would have been so funny.
Yeah. So,
God.
Yeah, it's like anything when you first start, it's like meeting new people, going to a new place, whatever it is. Like the first bit is just like the annoying bit, and then once you just have to get through that period, and then it's like, oh, this is pretty chill. So yeah, that's the period that I've gotten past now. So yeah, that's been good. What about you?
I'm doing all right. I had a very relaxing All-Star weekend, obviously with very minimal Bucks stuff to be had outside of Bobby Portis not doing the best in the 3-point contest from what I saw. But yeah, it was nice. I drove out about 8 hours from where I live to Kansas City to meet up with my girlfriend to spend Valentine's weekend together, which was awesome. We went to an art museum. We went to, they had like this pop-up, basically like Titanic museum at Union Station, which is like also, it's like a train station. There's other museums in there. It's a crazy place. They got restaurants. It's nuts. And I'm a huge Titanic guy. I've been fascinated by it since I was in the second grade. So it was cool to see all these cool artifacts and pieces of history and kind of how everything played out. And it's very chilling. They had like a simulation at the end where you sit in a lifeboat and it tells you like how far away like every ship was and like the time breakdown of like all the SOS messages and like all the like, ships that were communicating.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, the Carpathia was like 53 miles away or whatever. And it was going to take 4 hours to get there. So, and then they had a life jacket from the Titanic, which is like, sheesh. So
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, the only downside of that whole weekend was that for those who don't know, I have a gluten allergy and I'm pretty sure this is the dumbest thing. I think I got gluten from Italian dressing because sometimes they put wheat in it to thicken it up.
Yeah.
So I was basically in bed for about 12 hours from Sunday night into Monday morning because I got very sick, like sweating, like could barely stay awake. It was really bad. So I'm feeling good now, but yeah.
And because I'll be honest, I have just slowly over time, I just don't watch All-Star at all anymore. Like it's like I think I watched it at the start just because it's the All-Star. You feel obligated to it, and then I feel like as you get, at least for me, as I got older, I'm just like, everything here sucks. the dunk contest sucks. The 3-point contest is like, that may be the only one that I'll watch. But even that, it's kind of like slow and predictable, and like it literally is predictable. They all do the same thing. So, and the All-Star game, like, it's so funny. Like, everyone's like, they have to fix the All-Star game. They have to make, and like this year it was like international and there's like 3 teams or something. But frankly, I just I just completely tuned out the whole thing. Like, it's like I don't know. I just have no interest in anything All-Star anymore. So I don't know if I'm like alone in that, but yeah, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think there were a part of me that at least would have like tuned in if like I wasn't like on like a weekend getaway. But yeah, like it was funny. I was at work that next Tuesday after the All-Star weekend, and I was looking up because the NBA put out like a highlight reel of like the best dunks from the dunk contest. Legitimately, it was like a minute and 20 seconds because there were only 3 dunks.
Yeah, I saw this one Jackson Hayes did, and it was just like he just like ran from half court and like did like a standard Giannis dunk that he does like twice a game, like just like kind of like the Statue of Liberty, kind of like, but it wasn't even like a cockback or like a double clutch or anything. It's just the most. I'm like, that's what we're bringing to the. Anyway, not that I could do any better, but
yeah. And then who was it? The one guy should have. I think it was Jace Richardson who should have won. He should have won, but he couldn't get his last dunk to go, so he kind of like screwed himself. And then that's how Keyshawn Johnson won from the Heat.
That's so funny. I didn't even know who won. Like,
I
had no clue. It's the first time I've heard who won. Yeah.
But overall, I think probably not. I mean, I will say from everything I saw, it was better than the All-Star weekend I went to when it was in Indianapolis that first year. Yeah. So I will say it was probably better than that. And hey, everyone got to laugh and clown on Shams for a couple of days. So especially around these parts, that was some much needed Schadenfreude.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but let's get into, since we're actually past the All-Star break now, the Bucks actually played a couple of games. Let's get into those games and what we learned. First, they started the post All-Star set of their schedule down in the Bayou. They played the New Orleans Pelicans in an effort to further distance themselves from the Pelicans and their pick and draft lottery shenanigans. And they did just that in their biggest win of the season, 139-118. Cam Thomas had 27 points. Ryan Rollins was cooking with 27 points. I think KPJ had 24, I want to say. So a good day from that guard trio. And it was a good win, even especially without Miles Turner. So things are looking pretty good. Bucks have won 6 of their last 7. Looking for 7 of their last 8. 4 wins in a row. Could get into a tie with the Charlotte Hornets if they somehow lost to the Wizards at home. Did not happen. They got humbled back down to earth against the Toronto Raptors, 122-94. The Bucks did have it within 3 points. It's somewhere around in the early goings of the third quarter. The Raptors then outscored them, I believe it was 65-30 to end the game. And went on to the 28-point win. So, Jack, what did you learn about the Bucks this week?
Yeah, so it applies to this week, but certainly like since the new recruits came in and whatnot with the trades and stuff, I learned that the Bucks might not be good, but they are definitely more watchable and fun than they used to be. I think you saw that duality with the games this week. They had the game against Toronto, who were just so clearly like on a different level and just a lot more well drilled in their kind of principles than the Bucks were. But at the same time, the game against the Pelicans was like, that was just like God University, just like the plethora of, just like the trio of Rollins, KPJ, and Thomas, just absolutely beasting on the Pelicans. And I mean, it's watching bucket getters get buckets is like fun, and the Bucks haven't really had too many like bona fide bucket getters in their time, and like they're not. It was funny. When I was doing the preview for the Raptors game, I was checking like it feels like they're moving the ball a lot better, and and apparently they weren't. They were just like they were 26th in assist percentage, which I think is like the barometer of assist percentage, right? Like that's how many
Yeah.
like yeah. So yeah. They were, so it just seems like they're kind of like they were running good action though. I want to like I feel like they were definitely running good action, but it feels like maybe they were just like attacking switches as opposed to like putting teams in the blender through like hitting the short roll and then kicking it out and whatnot. But yeah, man, it was just like especially the games before, but also like the Pelicans game. Like it was just like it was a whole heap of fun to watch, tanking shenanigans aside. So yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. And like watching and being there for that game on Sunday against Toronto, you saw a lot of that in the first half where they were kind of like in a groove and kind of free flowing a little bit, kind of getting buckets. Cam Thomas, when he checked in, scored 8 of the next 10 for the Bucks. So it's like, oh, this is exactly what the Bucks have needed for a while. They need a third guard who can come in off the bench and give them some scoring and take some ball handling responsibilities. So that way KPJ isn't dribbling the ball 500 times a game and Ryan Rollins isn't getting all the attention. So it's like, there are some things to like here. And then even he didn't score, but he looked solid enough. Ousmane Dieng looked pretty solid in that first half in spots. And I thought he held up pretty well defensively. I will give him credit for that. But yeah, that second part of that second half was just brutal. And a lot of that inexperience kind of showed, where it's just like they just kind of got out of what they were doing in the first half, and they weren't hitting their threes. They hit the second fewest threes they've had all season with 9, shot 28% from 3. So, and even Cam even said it after the game, the Raptors pressure just kind of sped all of them up a bit. So it was like that lack of experience showing through, where it's like, okay, you realize they're going to pressure, but you're letting yourself be sped up by that pressure, both, especially in the half court. The Raptors half court defense is amazing. I think there were of quite a few like late shot clock shot attempts for the Bucks. So yeah, I think, but yeah, that Pelicans game for sure. It's just seeing the box scores a little bit. I'm like, oh wow, they had some really good scoring performances, and it looks like they were just kind of having fun out there, which is something we haven't really been able to say a lot this year. There's been a lot of turbulence and drama and bad vibes at times with this team. So it was nice to see them put some wins together and have some fun while doing it, even if they kind of got punched back to reality against Toronto.
Yeah. And like, it's interesting because like you take a snapshot of like some of the lineups there, like some of the lineups are not like you can tell like there's been guys that have been acquired mid-season, and like the front office hasn't really been like allowed to like shape the team, because some of these lineups, it's like you've got Cam Thomas, Bobby Portis, and like AJ Green, like all on the court together, and it's like that's just never going to be able to like defend at like a requisite level. So that's what I mean. Like the team isn't like, I just don't think that they're like quote unquote good, but at the same time, like Cam Thomas hoops beats like Cole Anthony dribbling the air out of the ball a million times. Like whatever you want to say about Cam Thomas, like I've always watched him and been like, there's a role for him somewhere if he's willing to buy into it. And like I think the Bucks have struck a really good equilibrium with him, where like it's like 20 to 25 minutes. He's not like playing like 35 minutes, and they're just like defining his role pretty well. Like and even like when he's been blitzed and stuff, like he's made the right play a good amount of times. Like, and don't get me wrong, like that dude is looking to get up shots. But and so that's been interesting. And then like you mentioned Usman Jang, like that's another thing that's been fun. It's like this is a guy who almost like a present under the Christmas tree that you're just unwrapping. It's like this guy barely played in OKC, and I'm sure if he was like if he showed way more or whatever, like he would have like I'm just trying to say he's like somewhat flawed. Otherwise OKC wouldn't have like let him go. But still you can see why he was taken in the lottery. And like I remember watching him. It was, I believe, the season after COVID in the NBL, because that's where he did his gap year before declaring for the draft. And like for 2/3 of the Breakers were bad that season. He's playing for the New Zealand Breakers, but for 2/3 of that season, you were like, he's tall, he's pretty smooth, he's got some like decent like pass dribble shoot ability, but you're just like not sure it was all coming together. And then I remember down that final third of that season, he just turned into a different player, and like you could just see the confidence rising and like his ability to like make read. Like he's not just a 3-and-D player. Like he can actually do stuff with the ball and like make decisions. And I think that's really intriguing, and it's definitely like a worthwhile buy low, quote unquote buy low option for John Horst and the Bucks front office. So that's been another element of like the fun, is like being like, what's this guy? And like I think like again, like you saw like like he's had some excellent games where you're just like, who is this? And then he's also like, like yesterday's game was just not the greatest from him. So it'll be fun to track his progress the rest of the season. And I mean, any further thoughts on Jang or anything else fun related?
You kind of hit it on the nail on the head with like saying that some of these guys, it shows that they were acquired midseason, and Doc even said like they've been great so far, but at some point they're probably going to show some growing pains of trying to like find the roles. And this part I'll get into in a minute when I talk about my part, is like you get a guy like Jang who you say, oh, he's been great, he handles the ball really well, he's a big body, and yet you don't play him at all in the third quarter. Like, yes, he had a couple of turnovers, but like you don't play him at all in the third quarter. And I think he only I think he was part of that like 6.5 minute like closing out the game when the Bucks were already down by a bunch. It's like, your decisions make no sense to me. But yeah, no, it was. I like to hopefully get to see a better Usman Jang game at some point this week. It got 3 more chances to prove it. But yeah, I think he's kind of gonna be the most, outside of like how Giannis looks once he comes back from the calf injury. It's like he's gonna be the most like analyzed Buck, because he's got the first round pedigree. And he's kind of the most unknown. I don't know if anyone has seen that episode of Family Guy where it's like Peter goes in, and it's that famous clip where it's like, oh, you could have a boat, bar, you could have what's inside this mystery box. It could even
And
be a boat.
A boat, yeah. Yeah,
So it's
I,
just
I
like-
knew where you were going with that.
He's just, and it's not the full metaphor with that, but Usman is the quintessential mystery box player. It's like
Yeah.
you don't know exactly what it is, but you think, oh, he could be like a nice little 3-and-D point forward type thing, and maybe he grows into something more. We'll see what they decide moving forward. I think maybe should come a time where he starts games down the stretch, especially with how much of a rut AJ Green has been in. Just kind of get him like a little bit of a reset, even post All-Star break. But yeah, I think or maybe even start him over Kuzma. You get, at the end of the day, you have to see what you have in these guys. And I wrote that in my analysis of Jang, is that the biggest thing is you have to figure out what you have. So, but yeah, and I think that point you made about Cam Thomas too, he looked very engaged on defense, and they played a lot of zone against Toronto for some reason, even though I don't know if they ran a ton of it but before the All-Star break, so I don't know if that was just a matchup thing they decided to pull out. But like he looked very engaged, and I just have to say he's got a really weird, like funky game to him in terms of like how he tries to get off the ball in like those tight situations. It just looks weird sometimes. Like he's like arms are like fully extended up at times. It felt like, and he just kind of flicks the ball up there. He's got some really high arcing shots. I've seen Cam Thomas here and there, but that was my first time like actually kind of seeing what he does, and it was very interesting just kind of see him operate. So, well, he's number 3 on the list in terms of like, okay, what can Cam Thomas provide to this team? So he's another really interesting guy, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, Cam Thomas is like, the way he scores the ball is so unique. Like it's like he's like different from like Shea or like even like I don't know, Austin Reeves. Like I'm just pulling names out of my head right now. But like he's just like he's yeah, and like the way he moves and like he can get like really high on his jump shots, and yeah, it's like intriguing. I know what you mean, like the way that he kind of like goes about it is really intriguing. I did want to just add on Jang. It's like they've been trying, like I don't know, like it's like Lucy with the football at this stage, but like at that 3 spot, like they've been trying for so long to find like a good 3, and like they tried like Torian Prince, but it's like what's that thing, like Goldilocks, like okay, like he's got the shooting, but he can't dribble, and like his defense is poor, and then it's like Usman Jan, and then like whoever else they tried, like whatever AJ Green, he's got the shooting, but he might be a little bit, like he's undersized and stuff, and whoever else they played, but it's like
Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, like Kyle Kuzma, like he's got the defense right, but then like the offense is hit or miss, and so they're trying all these different guys, and it's like, it's like, could he be like, is he, because it feels like he's got a good amount of like, he's like jack of all trades, but not necessarily a master of one. So, it'll be exactly. That's why I'm totally with you. Like, I want to see, especially if they're out of the picture late in the season. Like, if Doc doesn't like give him a good run, that's like criminal. Like, if they're out of the picture late in the season, like he should be playing 30 minutes a game. Like, and so yeah, I totally. Because they need to see what they have, and if he can kind of be a piece at the 3 moving forward.
Yeah, I think he can. He's got, and if you haven't read already, I wrote a full article like kind of breaking down his game, but he's got a really good catch and shoot 3-point jumper. We've seen that quite a few times. He can create some of those step backs against Orlando before the break were ridiculous. So it's like
he's got the Pat C catch high, shoot high going as well.
Look at that. We welcome back tall Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
But
the more things change, the more they stay the same.
So yeah, I think he again is someone that I think could be again, I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star or anything close to that, but like if he can be like to borrow from our guy Finn, if he can be like a bench mob all-star, that's like that's exactly like what you're looking for from him moving forward.
100%. Yeah. What did you learn this week?
I learned that the Bucks, they have some more talent, but the same issues keep cropping back up. And I'm getting on my proverbial soapbox here. And I wrote about this in the player grades when talking about Doc's grade. It's like I hear over and over again the Bucks are trying to do something on offense. They have a game plan coming into a game, and Doc will say, like, they'll lose, and Doc will say, oh, yeah, we wanted to do this, but this didn't happen. The biggest example before yesterday was like, oh, yeah, we wanted Kyle Kuzma to be in the middle of the floor and play as a screener, but then Kyle Kuzma is just out in the corner shooting threes. I think that was the last time they played Toronto in Milwaukee, if I'm remembering correctly. It's like, why are you doing this? If you want him to do this one thing, and he's not doing it, then tell him to do it. And that was the case because I forgot who asked it post game. They asked like, okay, it was Eric. He asked like, how can like the bigs like help the guards out with so much ball pressure that Toronto's able to create both from their wings and from their guard defenders. And Doc's like, oh yeah, our game plan was like, yeah, we want to set a whole bunch of screens, but I think it was AJ Green who actually set like the most screens tonight. And it's like,
yeah,
if you're not seeing your game plan be executed, then tell them, hey, Miles, Bobby, Jericho, screen people, please. Like, and all, well, except for Jericho, like those two of those guys can shoot. So, like, you can have them flare out to the brim. And Miles Turner did do that at times, but that was mostly in the first half. He scored 11 of his 14 in the first half and only had 3 shot attempts in the second half. So, it feels like a broken record. And it reminds me of when, like, I asked Dame a couple years ago of, like, the team's, like, consistent, like, lack of effort at times or issues with effort. And it feels the same way now where it's like I see Doc and people are asking about stuff and it's like it's your job to get the players to execute the game plan you want or and like correct it in game. Like there's some point I get there's some points where it's like, yeah, the other team is like sniffing out what you want to do, and the Raptors are one of the best defensive teams in basketball, so it's like there is a line where it's like, okay, it's on the players to actually execute, but it's like also on the coach, like, hey, you guys aren't doing what we talked about. Why are you not doing what we talked about? And it's just been a recurring thing all year long, and I am so annoyed by it. But the problem is, I know it's going to happen because we all know at this point, Doc Rivers is going to coach the rest of this year, and then we'll see what happens in the offseason. But that's my big thing with that. It's just to continue here. Oh yeah, we wanted to do this, but this guy did this, but we didn't do that. And AJ Green set the most screens, and Kyle Kuzma wanted to shoot 5 threes for some reason. So yeah, that's I'm hopping off the soapbox now.
Yeah, you know what that reminded me of when you said that? It's like Doc being like a passenger to everything that's happening on the floor and not grabbing the steering wheel and steering the damn car. Mm-hmm. And that reminded me exactly of Giannis's injury where Doc goes, oh yeah, I could see he wasn't right for the whole game. I told the medical staff, I mean, they didn't do anything. And it's like, that reminded me exactly of that. It's like his ability to like make changes within a game is seemingly like non-existent. Like, it's just like, it's like, oh yeah, we talked about doing this, and then like we're not doing X thing, and it's like that comes out that they never changed it after the game as opposed to changing it right then and there. So yeah, I'm not sure what else I have to say, but like that's that kind of like, it feels like you're talking about like something that I've had an issue with, is his lack of ability to really like, I don't know, like coach the team. It sounds so funny, but like it's weirdly true. Like he just kind of is he feels like a passenger to everything, and it's really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're reading into what I'm saying perfectly there. It's just like the whole idea of him being a passenger. It's like it fits in totally to what his philosophy is of like, when he has stars, all he has to do is just let the stars do their thing and score and do whatever. But you're down your one star and you don't have any other stars around him at this point. So, and again, he is not a coach who's going to elevate guys. He's a decent floor coach with a very low ceiling for guys. Like, to his credit, he seems to do a pretty good job of developing guards. And this is the player development staff as a whole too. But I mean, Ryan Rollins, KPJ turned around his career after he came to the Bucks. Cole Anthony had at least a week of good play before he kind of fell off the wagon. So there is a track record of Doc being able to get a little bit more out of guards. And obviously that makes sense. He was a point guard during his career. But it's just like, if that's all you're doing, like, what about 2 through 5? Like, what are you doing to get the most out of AJ Green and Gary Trent and Gary Harris and now Cam Thomas? What are you doing to get the most out of Ousmane Dieng and Kyle Kuzma and Giannis and Bobby and Miles and Jericho? Like, what are you doing to get the most out of them too? So it's been a problem since he stepped foot in Milwaukee. Excuse me. So
yeah, the thing you said about the stars is like, I was like, ding, ding, ding. Like that's like it feels like he's like a coach where it's like, I coach stars and I let the stars run the show, and then it's kind of like I let them take the steering wheel and whatever happens. And like it's really interesting though, because like to his credit, like now OKC were down like all of their like that team was uniquely bad without Jalen Williams or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it feels like. Although that's probably not a fair statement to make. They're probably really good, but like for whatever reason on that night, they just like, you're just like, who's going to score the ball in the half court against that team? But that game against OKC, I was like, freaking Darvin Ham coach. Yeah. Oh my god. Anyway, so that's the whole thing. But like, that was like, I don't know, for whoever was like diagramming stuff for that game or whatever. I don't know how much of an impact Darvin Ham had over Doc or whatever, but like they played in a way that I like I hadn't seen them play in so long. Like the way they were moving the ball, and like it felt like nobody had their own like personal agenda to like get their own shots or whatever it was, and they were just playing basketball. And so anyway, it feels like when Doc / his coaching staff gets in a rhythm from the start, and it's just like, this is what we're going to do, they can actually execute pretty well. And like you saw that against New Orleans, like that team sucks. Like, oh my goodness. But like, yeah, that defense might be one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. But anyway, it was easy to score, but they did the things they had to do to get in the right positions to explode. Like whatever you want, Derek Queen on a switch. We want to, we want to go at Jordan Hawkins or whoever the player is, or like we want to run X action. But it felt like they were getting to their actions very easily because the defense is just so bad. But it felt like they had a plan, whereas like Toronto punched them in the mouth. Like, that is one of the best switching teams I think I've seen. Like, and I was watching their game against who was it? It was their game before they played the Bucks, and like Jamal Shed, like the way he was terrorizing some guard on the other team. I can't remember, but like it was just like that team's going to punch you in the mouth, and it just felt like that's the difference. Is like they came in with a plan and got punched in the mouth, and as you say, like Doc is just like, all right, well, I guess we're just going to get punched in the mouth for the rest of the night, and we're not going to like change tact, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that game you were talking about was when they played the Bulls.
Yes.
On Thursday.
Anthony Simons, Jamal Shed was terrorizing Anthony Simons. I'd never seen anything like it. It was super impressive to watch.
Yeah. Simons was held to 20 points on 7 of 18 shooting, 4 of 11 from 3, and was a minus 21. Yeah. That him
it's
and
always
Josh
good when
Giddey
the
had
stats
big
back
games.
up what you. It's always good when the stats back up the eye test, because what usually happens there is it'll be like Anthony Simons went 14 for 17 and scored 35 points, and you're like, oh god. Anyway, so that's good that that he made me look good in that scenario.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just kind of hard to like break down this team at times, just because it's like they're just being so held back by Doc Rivers at certain points, even with some of the pluses that he can provide, and it gets harder and harder to watch at points. So and since we've been talking about the head coach so much, I actually wanted to ask you about like your power structure article a little bit, and kind of just like how you came up with it in the first place, and then like what were like your big takeaways from like how the Bucks have kind of been structured the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I started out wanting to write about the coach bungling that happened with like Budenholzer to Griffin to Doc, and kind of breaking it down into each step, and like who was quote unquote responsible for each step, and like, you know, I'm not trying to point the finger at anyone here. It was just a complete mess all the way around. And then as I'm writing it, I start to realize that there's some other areas like, I'm like, Giannis's injury made no sense to me. I said that on the pod when it happened. I'm just like, how, like, does he just say, I want to play, and everyone just says, go ahead, I'm not going to stand in your way? Like, because Giannis is a crazy person. He'll play with a freaking broken face or whatever. Like, and it's just like, is it like, does he have that much power that just nobody can like save him from himself? And because like we all gloss over the fact that it was just a calf injury, but I think we all know what could have happened. What happens when you repeatedly do calf injuries? And I don't want to say it, but we all know what I'm talking about. And so that was on the table, and I was extremely worried. And it sounds like now that there's no 65 games to worry about, and the team is probably going to be a lottery team, maybe. So like it feels like now, like this time around, they're taking like a more cautious approach, but I'm really frustrated that they didn't do that the first time, because it's like, it's your job to get him back to 100% and not let him return at like 85% or whatever it was. So yeah, there was some lack of synergy there that I noticed. And then I remembered the Old Man and the Three podcast came out with the Wizards young core. And like there was that viral clip of like Keyshawn George saying / not saying that the Bucks promised him. I'm not entirely sure. Like that's what everyone said on Twitter. And then I checked the quote, and it's like, it's not entirely clear that that's what happened, but there was clearly a lot of interest. And like he was clearly in the next, like, if he wasn't 23rd, if he wasn't the next best player on the board, he was clearly like within the next 2 or 3 players on the board.
Yeah.
And John Horst steps in and takes a consensus second round prospect. And it's just like, I don't understand how that happens. Like, I think I heard some stuff on the night that Horst wanted to take Johnson at like 33, the pick that became Tyler Smith, but I don't know, he got scared that like he wouldn't be there, or he got some intel. And so he just completely jumps 10 spots and takes him like way high. And it just feels like a lot of the Bucks, where they are, why they are where they are at now, is just due to just like basic lack of synergy. And so that's why I wanted to write about it, because they all have that common thread of a lack of synergy. Like, who's running the show here? So
yeah, I read bits and pieces of it, and that definitely comes through in it. And just the idea of like the whole Giannis injury thing being what it's been, and like you thinking like, oh, they brought him back early to save the season. Like, well, if you let him rest and get back to 100%, you could have saved the season, and he could have been playing in the this stretch of games, and he could have played in the All-Star game.
100%. Yep.
I feel like every year he's been banged up at some point in the All-Star break. I mean, he had the thumb injury in Indianapolis, and he barely played. I think maybe he was relatively healthy last year. But yeah, still. So it's just been like how they've continued to mismanage that injury is just been nuts to me. And then, this is what I was going to say about like the AJ Johnson pick. It kind of, I'll bring a football reference into it for this one. There was a report that came out a year or so ago or on draft night a couple years ago, that the Bears general manager wanted to trade up to get a wide receiver, but his assistant general manager was like, no, you don't really need to do that. He'll be there at pick 9. And it's like, does John Horst not have that person in his ear where it's like, you don't need to take this guy 10 spots ahead of where you think he's going to be. And for me, it's also like, it would be one thing if like you were debating whether or not to take like an older, like more NBA ready, like college prospect who was like maybe 23 or something. But like you're taking like teenagers who are projects in a contention window where it's like, and I was banging my hand on the table for it at the time. I'm like, if you're going to draft a point guard that high, like, take the guy who like led his team to a conference championship and conference regular season championship, tournament championship, and eventually led them to a Sweet 16 appearance.
Yeah.
In Tyler Kolek. Like, it was just sitting right there. So a lot of it that just like doesn't make any sense, and like how Horst decides to operate with all of this. So yeah, there's just been so much bungling, and I just want to blame like this kind of seeming like fall off in like not accountability, but execution in this to like the Haslams now being owners of the Bucks, because they've just ran the Cleveland Browns since they came back to Cleveland ever so well. In that time, I mean, talk about a championship organization out there.
Isn't that the team that there's some problem with the quarterback? Like he's got like a bad history or something.
Yeah,
like that?
Yes, that's the guy who was inappropriately touching like masseuses, like 20 or
Jesus.
30 of them, like some ridiculous number.
What's his name again?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
So they got rid of the quarterback they drafted number overall of Baker Mayfield because they wanted an adult at quarterback. That was their reasoning. And now Baker Mayfield has been like one of the better quarterbacks in the league since he went to Tampa Bay. So it's just really funny to see to laugh at the Browns again. But yeah, it's just and we've talked about this before of Haslam getting his nose into it and basically saying, "Oh, you're going to hire Doc," where it's like, "I want Kenny Atkinson because I think he'll be better," and he would have been right.
Dude, that was the thing that is just like that's like really like sometimes like I get the decision to involve young. I don't like agree with it, but I 100% get it. Like,
yeah.
Part of me feels like on the first hire that like, I don't know, there's like a certain part of your job that's almost like, okay, like I'm the one who has to make this decision and I need to trust my gut here. And he didn't trust his gut. He went with Griffin and that backfired. But it also, I don't know, like Giannis did sign the extension. So like, I'm not having like a massive breakdown over that decision, but like,
yeah,
the ownership getting involved in the next hire, which was the one that they had to nail because they already knew that they'd messed up the initial hire. They gave the guy a 3-year contract. Like all that money's down the drain now. like it's all down the drain. And they have to nail the next hire. And you're telling me that like a bunch of people, I know the owners are like probably like more involved than like the average fan probably thinks they are, but like, and they probably know more about like this stuff than the average fan thinks, but they're not basketball decision makers.
No,
you know, these guys are rich people. And so it's like, it's like for like reportedly it was Haslam that led the charge for Doc. And they, you know, like that's the type of stuff that ruins, like not ruins, but like really sets franchises back when it's like John Horst has done all, because Kenny Atkinson was already on the first round of interviews. Like he made the finalists for the first job when they went with Griffin. And so for them not to put their trust in like letting him hire his guy is almost like unforgivable to me. And then, like, yeah, as far as the AJ Johnson pick, like, exactly what you're saying. Like, if you want to take, like, a point guard, like, in a contention window, just Tyler Kolek would have been, like, I'm not sure he was, like, a first-round pick, but, like, he would have been way better than AJ Johnson. Like, if you watched AJ Johnson in the NBL, like, he was an athlete, and he had some cool dunks, and that's basically it. And I think like John Horst defaults a lot to like attributes rather than like the ability to know how to play basketball. And like, that's all AJ Johnson's been in his career. Like people like it's really funny. Like every summer league, he'll have like some big dunk and they'll be like, "Oh, the Bucks traded this guy for Kyle Kuzma." And then like, you'll check his stats and it's like, he shot like 21% from 3 and like turn the ball over 5 times a game, and you're like, yeah, this is AJ Johnson. He jumps high, and that's literally all he does. And now he's been traded another time he's traded to the Mavs, and I'm not sure how long his career will last. But it's just like it's not the fact that they missed in the 20s with the Beauchamp pick and the Johnson pick. We don't know how the Beauchamp pick went, if that was to do with a lack of synergy, like because they were reportedly choosing between Marjon Beauchamp and Andrew Nembhard, and they just chose the wrong guy. And
that happens.
But in this example, it's like clearly they had Keyshawn George mentioned one team that he thought he was going to, and that was the Bucks. And I think that says a lot about how much interest there was and how close they were to drafting him. And the process, again, like it's all about the process. Like they completely bungled the process. John Horst went and swung for some reason when like he had like, what is Keyshawn George going to be like a future all-star? Like nobody really knows at this stage, but like he's going to be a really good player. And this is this is like, if you had like nailed just those two decisions, like I think like, and you know, like they got Ryan Rollins, who's going to be like a great player in this league. Like they've done a whole bunch of good things. Like Pete Nance is a nice piece. Usman Jang, we'll see. You know, like AJ Green is a nice piece, but like if you nail those two picks and you are so close to nailing them, the outlook of this team probably looks a whole lot different than it does right now. And that's what hurts. It's because they were so close and they completely bungled those picks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there is a binary option and somehow both times they picked the 0 instead of 1.
Yeah. It's like the guy that they picked wasn't even like, you know, like an average player. Like they were a bust. And the other guy was a star. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, it's just like people just like they want traits. It's like, oh, we can get a guy with traits and then just teach him how to play basketball later. Like, no. Get a guy who can play basketball. Like, just do that. Just do that first.
I think we're learning more and more.
See if he has the traits.
Yeah, I think we're learning more and more. Like we learn this with each coming year, is that like feel is like the number one trait that you need to look for in prospects. Like it's feel, and then it's everything else.
Yep.
Like, and like obviously you're not going to take a 6-foot guy over a 6'8" guy just because the 6-foot guy has some feel. But like to a degree, like feel is the number one thing. Like you look at lottery picks over time after time. Like Jonathan Kuminga had no feel. Look where his career's panned out. Like Tijan Salam, like, you know, he had no feel. Like, and he's starting to sort it out, but still, like, 6th pick. And he was in the G League earlier this season. Like, you know, you just name names, and it's like, you have to know how to play. And then you can look at, like, athlete, like, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and actually, to keep it with the Hornets, like, they went with the guy that was a bit of a surprise at 4 and got Con Knipple, who had great feel.
Yeah.
Who can do all the things, who's actually a pretty athletic 2 guard for all things considered. So yeah, it's unfortunate because like you said, this team could be in such a different spot. But enough bemoaning what could have been. We have to look ahead to see what's going to be on the docket in the future. As you're listening to this, we're going to go to our game predictions now. As you're listening to this, the Bucks will be hosting the Miami Heat on Tuesday, and then they have their first look at James Harden and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are coming off their first loss in the James Harden era after the loss to OKC in what ended up being a nail-biter after they were down by 15 in the first quarter. And then they have another Eastern Conference playoff / potential championship contender in the New York Knicks on Friday. So, Jack, after seeing what happened against Toronto on Sunday, how do you think the Bucks will fare against 3 more Eastern Conference playoff teams?
Yeah, I definitely think the latter 2 are definite L's in the Cavs and the Knicks games. As far as the Heat game, I mean, they're 31-27, so they're a good amount above the next team in Atlanta. Yeah. I'd have to see who they've got playing, if they've got any injuries. But if they're mostly healthy, I think that's going to be an 0-3 week, which I would not be mad at, to be fair.
Yeah, get the Tank Commanders back and rolling and up and running again.
The tank was stalled for a little bit, but now the engine might be back up and running.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 1-2. Although the Cavs are like such a weird team, and yes, they've been really good with James Harden, but you just never know. I feel like they're one of the more volatile teams in the league now. So I'm going to say they probably lose on Tuesday to Cleveland, but maybe I'm going to say sneak out a win against the Cavs before they lose to the Knicks on Friday, even though they played the Knicks pretty well, but that was with Giannis playing in each of those games. And the last time, that was Giannis has played in every game against the Knicks, so it's not anything special with that. So so I'm gonna say a 1-2 week as well. But I'm really interested to see. It's gonna be so weird to see James Harden in a Cavs jersey. It's gonna throw me off so much.
The dude's he's just like a I can't remember what I was listening to the Hoop Collective podcast, and he's like a something mercenary, like a contract mercenary. Like he just like he'll be having a great time with the team's going well, everything is good, and then he'll be like, all right, contract extension. Oh, you're not interested in you're not interested in giving me my money? I'm out. And he just he just flips on a dime. It's the most unique thing. But I don't know. It's just so funny to me. It's just like yeah. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I forgot. I have a mute
yeah.
button on my microphone. I forgot I had it on for a
Oh,
second.
I thought something was up with my internet. Yeah.
No, all I was saying was like just since like 2021, he's played with the Rockets, the Nets, the 76ers, the Clippers, and now is on the Cavs.
When you put it like that, wow.
In 5 years, he's been on 5. Did I say 5 or 6 teams? Houston, Brooklyn, Philly, LA, Cleveland. Yeah, 5 teams in 5 years.
And it doesn't feel like that, does it? It feels like he spent a good amount of time in each spot, doesn't it? Like,
but he really didn't. I think he was traded at the deadline to Philly. He was traded early season to Brooklyn. And then the most time he spent with any of those teams was the Clippers. He spent what did he do? I think he signed. Did he sign with them? No, I don't even remember how he got to the Clippers in the first place. I think he signed there in free agency.
No. He was traded. It was another mid-season trade, I'm sure of it. Because I remember it was the
Oh, that's right. He got traded.
That was the season. That was Dame's first season, and because I remember they played the Sixers on opening night, and Harden was there. Remember that? And
the only reason I thought the only reason I thought it might have been an off-season trade or something is because Harden had that whole thing where it's like, oh, Daryl Morey's a liar.
Yeah, it was definitely that definitely happened, but they stretched into the season.
Yes,
I'm just looking it up. Harden trade to Clippers. Who was in that trade?
I can't even think of who they would have sent to Philly.
The 76ers sent PJ Tucker, Harden, PJ Tucker, Philip Petrusev to the Clippers for Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, and some first-round pick swaps and some seconds. So if you're not remembering it because no one notable really went the other way.
Oh my God, that's a robbery for the Clippers. They turned all of that into Darius Garland. That's really good for them, honestly. Like, yes, you want to keep James Harden longer, but the fact they turned
those picks though, especially with the aspiration scandal going on, like those picks could be really good for the 76ers.
Yeah, that's true. But at least for now, they turned all of that into Darius Garland, which is pretty good. Who knows? Maybe
assuming he actually plays,
right? And then, I mean, who knows? Maybe the Pacers pick will fall to 5 or 6 or 7. So, I know, separate trade in that instance, but
holy crap, the Kings won.
Whoa, they finally was that 16 in a row they lost?
Yeah. It might have been, was it 18? I don't know. It's probably 17. I don't know, something like that. They beat the Grizzlies today. Anyway, not to derail the podcast, but
that's their 13th win of the season. Good Lord.
yeah.
Yeah, that was wow. Wow. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, 16 in a row. So congratulations to the Clippers.
Kangs.
Mitchell's Kangs.
Hashtag Kangs.
So, all right, let's shift the league of basketball we're talking about, and you gave it off the top, but let's get into it a little bit, or maybe that was pre-show, but let's get into it a little bit more. Let's get into the NBA update about the Adelaide 36ers and where they're at.
Yeah, man. So the season is now officially over, and the 36ers, they spent basically the entire second half of the season on top of the ladder, and then with about 4 or 5 weeks remaining, they began to falter. And I want to be clear, this roster is basically Bryce Cotton, who won the MVP last night, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it's like him and a speck of dust. Like the pieces do not fit together, and it's because everyone is a one-way player.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they can either put an all-offense team out there and score, but they can't defend, or they put out like defenders who literally cannot shoot, and so like it's a mess. But so anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But basically, they finished second. Sydney Kings finished first, and they will play. There's a play-in game for between 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and they will play the winner of the 3-4 game, and then you know how the play-in works from there. But anyway, there was a bit of drama last night because last night was the awards for the end of season NBL awards, and Bryce Cotton, who's like I just said, like he's like the greatest import to ever play in the league, and he plays for the 36ers, and he won MVP with 96 votes, and Kendrick Davis, who played for the 36ers last year but then moved to Sydney, came second with 94 votes. So yeah,
wow.
So anyway, Bryce wins, yada yada yada. And basically, Kendrick Davis has been on Instagram Live, kind of
not the Instagram Live.
Yeah, but also just like in various interviews and stuff. There's nothing else you could call it but crying. He's just been crying for the last 18 hours, and it's honestly kind of like it's not how you should act. Like as a professional, you should congratulate the other guy who won, who Kendrick Davis has said over and over again is one of his idols. And so it's been a bit of a shit show as far as that goes. But so Bryce won MVP, and the 36ers are second. They're most likely going to play the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, who probably are going to win that first play-in game. And I think they're going to lose 2-0, or 0-2, I should say. I don't give them much of a chance. And I'm not trying to be that person who is the contrarian against their own team, but the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix are just a way better balanced team than the 36ers. They just happen to kind of drop. They dropped the last game of the season, which gave Adelaide second place, but they're a much better team. So hopefully the home crowd in Adelaide can be so raucous that I don't know, something happens. But I'm expecting an 0-2 defeat.
Underachieving, expecting the playoffs. What else is new? But no, yeah, that's crazy. I don't remember the last time an NBA MVP vote was that close. So it came within 2 votes or even 2 points with the point system they have these days. So that's really cool that it came down to just that. So that's really cool.
Like literally, if one person voted the other way, I think KD would have won it. So, and that's the whole thing. He's like, he's like, oh, it's a popularity contest and everyone hates me. I'm like, dude, you lost by 2 votes. Nobody hates you. Like, grow up. Like, what are you talking about?
Like,
anyway, it's like really frustrating.
Like, unless you're gonna use this for like fake motivation, like Michael Jordan used to do, like, then just shut up. Just like move on.
Yeah.
Win MVP next year, and so that way you can shut up about it. So,
and it's Bryce's 6th MVP, and he's been in the league 7 years.
Oh my god, this dude, literally the Kareem of the NBL. That's crazy.
The Andrew Gaze, who's like the greatest Australian basketball player of all time, had 7. So he's like, the legacy is like on that level now. So,
damn, that's nuts.
What about your segment? You got a segment today? Or?
This is a semi-new one. This is mostly kind of a spin-off from a joke from years ago. This was from the start of last season when I did the season preview series with Riley. We kind of briefly talked about some of the former Marquette Golden Eagles in the NBA. And we had like joked about it being like a segment for me down the line before like we settled on like Jackson's builds and all of that. But since there's no football and I haven't built any Legos anytime soon, I thought it was a perfect time to bring this back almost 2 years later after it happened. So there are currently, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 current NBA players who went to Marquette University. Of course, Jimmy Butler. He's out for the year for Golden State, for obvious reasons. The other ones, some of y'all might not know. Olivier Maxence Prosper of the Memphis Grizzlies. He just had a big game against the Utah Jazz the other night. If I can pull it up here. He on the 21st, or no, not the 21st. It was against the Jazz on the 20th. He put up 23 points, 5 rebounds in a win for the Grizzlies. He shot 10 of 16 from the field, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. And he's been getting pretty regular minutes. There's only been one game as of late that he's gotten like less than 10 minutes, and that was back on December 28th. So he's been a pretty firm part of the Grizzlies rotation. He was always one of my favorites.
To the Grizzlies, they always seem to like. I'll be honest. I watched him in Dallas, and I was like, "Is he going to get another contract?" Like, I don't know. And the Grizzlies always seem to like pull this stuff out. Like they seem to identify these guys who like nobody else wants, and they end up like making them. I don't know if he's like a good player, but like a solid contributing piece.
Yeah. No, yeah. I when that pick happened, I was really happy for him. I'm like, oh my gosh, a Marquette player in the first round? That's nuts. But I always had the feeling in the back of my head that he was like way overdrafted.
Because he was one of those guys who really he was a combine, whatever you call it, like a combine. Because I remember that I was watching that, riser. That's it. Because I was watching that combine, and he was like the talk of the town. Like, you seeing this guy? And so
So took him a little bit, but he's starting to figure it out. Some of the other guys you might not know of, Cam Jones is on the Indiana Pacers. Oso Ighodaro is on the Phoenix Suns. Tyler Kolek is on the New York Knicks. And then you have Sam Hauser, who is on the Boston Celtics. And then Jamal Cain is currently on the Orlando Magic. Outside of Jamal Cain, who like doesn't really play, he's a pure, in terms of the NBA, he's a bench warmer at this point. But
he's on a 2-way with them, right? Did you say
I
that?
believe so.
Yeah.
But G League wise, he's cooking right now. He's averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.3 blocks, shooting 50% from the field, 31% from 3, 80 from the free throw line. So he seems to be like a really good G League player. I don't know if he'll pop like more firmly into an NBA rotation. But out of all those guys, surprisingly, Tyler Kolek has been the one, and I don't know if he was injured currently, so forgive me for that. But yeah, he hasn't really been playing much for the Knicks as of late. His last 3 games, he hasn't played in the NBA since February 11th, so he hasn't played since before the All-Star break. He played 3 minutes and 49 seconds against the Celtics, 5 seconds against the Pacers, and then 9 minutes and 33 seconds against the Sixers on the 11th. So really just kind of out of nowhere, just kind of like sent to the shadow realm compared to where he was earlier.
He dominated that game against the Cavs on Christmas Day, if I'm remembering correctly. Like a really good game. He lit up MSG, I want to say, in that game. He had
he had
at least 4 threes, like 5 threes.
16 maybe? Points, 4 or 5 from 3, 9 assists, 3 rebounds, a block. Yeah,
it's kind of sad that I remember that, but
but that was also the game before against the Timberwolves. He had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. So he had a little bit of an insanity run in December, and he was a big piece of like them being able to win the NBA Cup from what I remember at the time as well. So it's not showing up here currently, but yeah, he was a big reason why they were able to win the NBA Cup. So he's kind of fallen out of favor in the rotation with Mike Brown. But
probably them signing Jose Alvarado probably had a bit to do with it as well.
Oh, that's right. Like, they traded for Alvarado. I completely forgot about that.
Because that's like his.
That was his spot.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, some of the other guys are getting some great minutes. Cam Jones has been a starter at the 2 for the Pacers the last 2 games. Hasn't gone particularly well. He's combined 14 points in those 2 games, but he had 11 assists and 5 rebounds against the Wizards. He had 10 points and 3 assists against the Mavericks. He did have a decent game against the Nets. He hit a game-winning 3 against the Nets in Brooklyn. But he's still trying to sort everything out. He had the injury early on, so we'll see how much a run he continues to get as he progresses. And then Oso, firmly the number 2 center in Phoenix, especially now that they traded away Nick Richards. On top of that, he's just a stat sheet stuffer. He had a game against the Mavericks where he had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks in 23 minutes, shot 5 of 6 from the field. He's just a really good all-around player. And then even on the 21st against the Magic, he had 11 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 assist. So he just plays winning basketball. And that same year him and Tyler came out, I wanted the Bucks to like take one of those guys with like their first round pick, and then with their second round pick, like scoop the other one up. Like, imagine like where this team could be as like Oso is like the 3rd string center instead of Jericho Sims.
Dude, I did not know anything about Oso's game. Like, I hadn't watched him once, and then I watched him with Phoenix in that year with KD, and him playing in the short role and like his ability to like make decisions. Like, they got rid of Nick Richards because Oso's just a way better player than him, and that's why they got rid of Nick Richards, which is how the Bucks got Usman Jang, ironically. Because the Bulls had no centers, so I believe they effectively chose Richards over Jang, which is
basically.
Thank God for that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, I've always been a fan of Oso's game.
Yeah. And then last but not least is Sam Hauser of the Boston Celtics. He did eventually he graduated from Virginia, so that is his listed college, but he spent a few years at Marquette before. Man, there's some deep Marquette lore I can get into later. I'm not going to get into it right now, but there's some deep lore with those Hauser brothers and Marquette that I found out that was kind of crazy. Yeah, he's doing his thing. Let's see. What is he putting up this year? He's putting up in 53 games. He's averaging 9 points, which is the most of his career. Shooting 41% from the field, 39% from three. Basically 3.8 rebounds. So he's putting in a fairly efficient season. And even with him being asked to do more with no Jason Tatum in the lineup and the slew of other injuries that the Celtics have been able to withstand, he's been a big piece to all of that. So credit to Sam Hauser, even though there was a weird split from him in the Marquette program. But yeah, those are all the Golden Eagles currently in the NBA. No Jay Crowder or Wesley Matthews to report on anymore.
Long live Jay Crowder. Although at least Wes is really good on the play-by-play, the analyst in the analyst chair for FanDuel Wisconsin. So
I have to see if I can find any of that because, like, obviously with me living in Illinois, I don't get those broadcasts. But
yeah, right, yeah. No, Wes is good. They should have had him on a long time ago, frankly.
Yeah, it could have been a time when he was ready. But hey, I'm glad he's here now, and that's the most important thing. So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for us. Thank you for sticking around to listen about the NBL and all the Marquette guys in the NBA. We really appreciate it. Make sure to go ahead and follow us on our socials. Make sure to go ahead and share this podcast and listen and watch this podcast on wherever you get your podcast, on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And then make sure, obviously, to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And always, please go ahead and go to brewhoop.com to read all of our amazing articles, including game coverage, pre, during, and post analysis of the Bucks. I obviously read Jack's piece about the power struggle, or not
separation
struggle,
of powers.
The separation of powers for the Bucks. And make sure, if you haven't read up much on Ousmane Dieng, make sure to read my article breaking his game down. Zach came out with an article about Cam Thomas, so if you're not super familiar with his game either, be sure to read that as well. So that's going to go ahead and do it up for us. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you all next week.